Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the very first episode of the Triple Option Podcast. Joining me, the man with the plan, the mind with the shine, the ace with the grace, Akshay Raj.
Yes, sir. What's up, guys? What's up? Thanks for the introduction, Anurag.
Also joining me, the sage of the stage, the mind refined, the voice with the poise, Arjun Berti.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to be here. Let's get started.
Yep, I'm Anurag, and we're excited to get started. So, first order of business is, let's talk about the games last week. One thing to note is we're recording this on a Friday, so we're a little late. We are aware of that Thursday night game that it's just passed, but we want to focus on week 1, and we will do week 2 soon, and it'll be on time and on schedule. So let's go ahead and start with week 1. First game we're going to cover is the last Monday night game. A big division rivalry game. I myself am a Vikings fan. We have a fellow NFC North fan here.
Yep, that's me. I am a Chicago Bears fan, for better or for worse.
So we got a big division rivalry going on here, and we want to talk about it first. Arjun, you want to go first, or you want me to start off?
Sure, I can start. So let's start with the Vikings, because I think that's a pretty, they won the game. I think that's a pretty good place to start. You can start a little happy. So JJ McCarthy definitely struggled for the first 3 quarters. I think he had only 85 yards before the 4th quarter, which was pretty devastating. But they kept that run game going. It really came alive in the 4th quarter. And then he's the first player since Cam Newton with more than 2 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown in his NFL debut. So obviously everything you want to see from him under pressure he's away on Monday Night Football, all eyes on him, and he's cooking. So if you can build on this, the Vikings could be dangerous going forward.
Yeah, I thought our defense played well overall. We had a lot of stops. I think we got pressure on the quarterback pretty well. I don't know if that's because the Bears O-line or our D-line is good, but either way, we got pressure on the quarterback. We were able to put Caleb Williams in some uncomfortable situations. And JJ himself, he really struggled in that first half. Everyone was calling him a bust after, couple of quarters. But yeah, he after that interception he threw, after that pick six, it felt like he got his mistakes out of him. And he placed some really well-placed passes. That touchdown pass to Jefferson, he fit it in such a tight window. Very impressed with that. The pass to Aaron Jones for the touchdown on the right sideline, that he looped it over one defender and over underneath the safety coming in to help. So that was also a great touchdown. He also had one on with his legs. I was pretty impressed. We'll see where it goes. I try not to get too high or too low, but right now I was impressed with how JJ McCarthy bounced back. As for Caleb, I wouldn't say I'm not impressed by Caleb Williams, but he showed some promise in the first half, but he missed some critical throws, like when you needed it. Like when the Bears needed it, he was overthrowing some. He threw that one hospital pass. That was not very cool to see, but he also got lit up on that play. We'll see how this Ben Johnson experiment goes. It's definitely not over, but it's not looking the greatest right now.
Yeah, that's a good point, Anurag. I just wanted to touch on one of the specific plays I was impressed by when I saw JJ McCarthy. I was rewatching one of the plays where he threw the touchdown to Aaron Jones. And I think it was like Justin Jefferson's on the left. He was getting manned by corner, and then there was like a cover 2 safety in the back. And then there's like 2 people on the right, mainly Aaron Jones and Hawkinson, as well as a third receiver that kind of ran a slant. And then Aaron Jones kind of ran like a fade route, which kind of opened it up, given that the cover 2 safety was leaning towards Hawkinson, and it was just an easy throw from JJ McCarthy, which was executed to perfection. So I thought that was very good scheming from KOC himself. And I think going to the Bears, I was really impressed with Caleb's ability to kind of evade from pressure, especially the fact that he got pressured so many times. I think it's just a work in progress, just because it's new offensive coordinator. He's the offensive genius, as you can say, from the Lions the last couple of years. And I think it'll take time. They have a really good set of receivers that are both young and growing. So it was a good game from both sides. I think most of us did expect the Vikings to win this, but it was a lot closer than it appeared at the end. But there were stretches when like the Bears were dominating, and then stretches where the Vikings were dominating. So
Arjun, didn't the Bears spend a lot of money on their offensive line?
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say.
It didn't look
So,
like it, man. It didn't look like it.
Yeah, so the first test for the Chicago O-line doesn't seem to be amazing. So it was good to start out with, but throughout the course of the game, like you mentioned, I think Caleb was pressured about 15 times. That's 35% of his dropbacks. And not only that, but Chicago couldn't run the ball at all, right? Swift is not a good running back, and we see that once again where he had a couple of good runs through contact, but more often than not, he's going down at the line of scrimmage to like the first contact. And of course, as we get to the end of the game, we see Caleb get a little bit skittish and miss some throws that he really should be making. But I'm not too worried about that. Every quarterback has a few misses here and there. We see it with Trevor Lawrence. We even saw it with Jordan Love last night. He missed a couple of TDs to Matthew Golden. So the inaccuracy is getting to be a problem, but I won't say that I'm worried yet because the talent is there. He showed flashes, and these growing pains were bound to happen. This is the first game in a new system. I definitely was overreacting a little bit, but Flores is a monster on defense, and I'm expecting a bounce back in week 2 to some degree. Not to mention that...
I think Flores...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. Flores blitzes a lot, so
Yeah.
I think the scheme affected Caleb. I don't think the protection packages were the best, to be honest. I don't think they picked up the blitz well. And yeah, Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores is actually a pretty big rivalry going back to last year, the Detroit Lions and the Vikings and stuff like that. So it's a big rivalry. Looks like Flores won this one. We'll see what the next one's like.
Yep, and just another note, the Chicago offense had 12 penalties for 127 yards. So anytime that the offense could get going, suddenly, you're facing like one penalty on first down, one penalty on second down, and it's a third and long, and, Caleb has to play Superman to convert that. And that's just not a good position to be in, especially with a young quarterback. So let's see if, Ben Johnson can lock in with his coaching, and enforce some better runs and better play calls so that the offense commits fewer penalties. And let's see what happens week 2.
Yeah, week 2, big matchup against another division rival. How are you feeling? Initial thoughts for that? You think anything crazy gonna happen?
I think Lions are still the favorite, but could definitely see Chicago taking the game. The Lions are still having their own problems with gelling, a completely new system, new offensive line. So I guess we will see how that goes. But, first thoughts, I think this Chicago team is going to take some time to get it together and get going.
What about yourself?
Yeah.
What about yourself, Anurag? You're playing the Falcons, who kind of had an unfortunate end to their first game against the Buccaneers, but and also potential misses from important players.
Yeah, the hometown team for us we're facing. So the thing I think is JJ McCarthy is going up against another one of his draft classmates in Michael Penix. I rate Penix pretty heavily. I think he's pretty good. I think he will end up being the second or third best QB in this draft class. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But I think Penix is good. I think JJ has also shown that he can be good as well. We'll see how it goes. I guess I'm worried about... I think Drake London is questionable, no? For that game?
Yeah,
I think-
he is.
So
I think
if he's
just
out,
today-
that'll be a big...
I think just today
Yeah,
he
big
said
boon.
that. I think just today he got cleared for full practice, so he should be playing.
Oh, okay. So I think, yeah, obviously we have to watch for... They got big receivers, Drake London. Even Kyle Pitts seems to be like coming back a little bit. He had a good first week. Maybe we should buy into him in fantasy maybe this year, outside of the jokes. But we'll see. I'm pretty excited for that matchup.
It will be a thriller for sure.
I would be surprised if the Vikings lost that game. I think Penix is showing flashes, but he's not there yet. He's also an inaccurate quarterback, and if this Vikings D-line is getting pressure on the Bears O-line, then I think that they're going to get pressure on the Falcons O-line too. I don't rate those O-lines too heavily different right now. So I'm excited to see how Penix will handle the pressure, and if JJ McCarthy can go ahead and get the win against another one of his QB classmates. Akshay, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the matchup for sure. It's always nice when you see two QBs of the same class going head to head. We kind of see some classic matchups from current QBs that have already played against each other in the same class, being the one was Caleb versus JJM, and then obviously the one we remember last year with Caleb versus Jaden Daniels. But we won't go there. But I think it's always good to see new QBs on the rise, kind of learning and growing with their teams, and kind of just the schemes that develop when you're up against a new team that you probably not faced before. So Yeah, it'll be great. But let's move on to our second game that we want to cover. This was a first game of the NFL season, Thursday Night Football, Cowboys versus Eagles. To start, let's just say there was a lot of drama at the start of the game, penalty flags, a lot of unnecessary things, I would say, at the start of the game with Dak Prescott and Jalen Carter. And all are free to have your own opinions on what happened, but the matter of the fact is that the Eagles started off with a very big disadvantage, losing their best defensive player. And they almost paid for it dearly had it not been for some mishaps with the Cowboys receivers later in the game. But with that, what are you guys' thoughts on that game?
Yeah, for me, I thought it was a fun game. It was a lot of scoring. I thought Dak played really well. And then after the weather break, it was like CeeDee Lamb couldn't catch, bro. It was like him and QJ swap bodies. I was surprised. He was dropping everything, bro. Dak was putting it. It was hitting him both in both hands, and he still dropped it. So I was pretty shocked with CeeDee Lamb's performance. I think Dak played a good game. I thought Jalen Hurts was just killing the Dallas defense on the run. I don't rate these Cowboys linebackers. They weren't able to get to Jalen Hurts, and they weren't able to protect that second level. And Jalen Hurts, he was just able to shake whoever was a spy on him and get a bunch of yards running with his legs.
Yeah, I think in the first half, the Cowboys only had 2 QB pressures the whole game. Matt Eberflus, a coach that I'm not too happy about, he kind of locked in after that. I think in the second half, they held Philly to just a field goal and 86 total yards. So the Cowboys, they kind of gave it up the game in the first half. And the Eagles showed their championship resilience. They locked in the second half, and they were able to clinch the game. I think Hurts looked amazing. He was cutting up that defense. I think this is still one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL right now. And even though they didn't utilize their wide receivers as much, I think they're in a very good spot. Saquon Barkley cooking as usual. But I guess as the season goes on, we'll see them shake off the rust and get back to a more passing heavy offense as the season goes on.
Yeah, I totally agree with your assessment there. I think Jalen Hurts had a game to remember for sure. We would have hoped that Dak could also have a game to remember had it not been for some of the mishaps with CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. But going to Jalen Hurts, I think he played really well just to the circumstances of the game. Didn't really push it when there wasn't any opportunity that was present there. I mean, he has one of the best one-on-one receivers that exists currently in the NFL in A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was limited to 1 catch for 8 yards the entire game, as well as one of the other better contested catchers and really good route runner, Devonta Smith, who was also limited to 3 catches for 16 yards. And despite that, Jalen Hurts still found a way to kind of push the yards, scramble when needed, and just take advantage of the holes in the defense that existed. While the Cowboys secondary was pretty impressive, as Anurag said, their defensive line just struggled to make any sort of pressure to Jalen Hurts, as well as just contain him. The way that we've seen some of the really good defenses in their front seven kind of just limit the quarterback from their rushing ability. So with that, I think CeeDee Lamb in general did have a good game. He got plenty of targets, good receptions, but just the holes that we saw with his lack of ability of catching in the later half of the game kind of cost the Cowboys from really making a good run for it at the end of the game.
Yeah, Dak was balling for sure. I'm excited to see how the Cowboys offense shapes up as the season goes on. I think they're going to have a season to remember, especially with that bad defense that's going to have that offense on the floor even more.
I agree.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Anurag.
Yeah, the Cowboys were this close. Like, if only they had one more defensive playmaker on their team,
Yeah, one more.
It was made the difference.
It was looking real nice for the first half. After that Cowboys' first 2 drives, it was looking like this could be a really, really good head-to-head matchup. And then it all just kind of slowed down once the Eagles' defense kind of got more and more used to the Cowboys' offense. But I think Dak in general has a really good record against NFC East teams, and even particularly against the Eagles. So it kind of knows the play calling, the schemes pretty well, and I think he was able to perform well because of that. And I was really excited to see a Dak resurgence game, kind of almost like a legacy game. It's a shame that it didn't get to happen, but you live and you learn from these kind of games. CeeDee Lamb promised he'll be better. All the Cowboys receivers also got to step up and help that defense out. Honestly, I think the defense did a really good job kind of containing the Eagles to 24 points. So live and you learn. Both of them have very intriguing matchups, especially the Eagles next week. and we'll see how that shakes out with Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, Cowboys definitely stepped it up towards the end, but I felt like it's too little, too late, and Cowboys offense couldn't capitalize on their defense playing well. What do you guys think is the outlook on the Cowboys for the rest of the season? Because initially, I thought when they traded Micah Parsons, like, oh my God, I thought the Cowboys were screwed, but they played better than I expected them to. You guys think they're third in the division, second in the division, maybe even fourth in the division? What do you guys think?
I think I'll start. I think the Cowboys are still third in division, in my opinion. Actually, fun fact, the last time the Cowboys have lost to the Giants was in 2016, quite a while ago.
Wow.
But with that being said, the Giants looked pretty lackluster offensively against the Commanders on Sunday. So I wouldn't be too worried about Cowboys offense versus Giants defense. It's just kind of how the Giants offense will produce against that lackluster Cowboys defense. Both didn't really seem that great. I think the match will be won depending on how the Cowboys offense can perform against that star-studded young defense. But moving forward, I think the Cowboys do look like a team that can contend with some of the better teams in the league, something that we probably didn't expect coming into this post the Micah Parsons trade. Can't say that about the Giants for sure yet. We probably have to wait a week or two to say that.
Yeah, this Cowboys offense is looking super sharp. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to put up a lot of great games. I still have him as on wide receiver 1 watch for this season. So I'm expecting big things. He's going to bounce back from the drops for sure. And yeah, we'll see. I think Javonte Williams looked a little better than expected too. Pretty inefficient game from him, but overall, like, he was still getting all of the usage. We'll see if Jaden Blue ever becomes a thing in that backfield. But beyond that, I'm excited to see these shootouts. I'm excited to see my boy Pickens step up. Akshay's boy Pickens. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to see this Cowboys offense moving forward. I think with that, we'll probably go to our last game of what we wanted to review from week 1. And that was the Sunday night header. I think all three of us had a large piece of things to say here and there before the match. This was the Ravens versus the Bills rematch of the AFC
Is it possible
divisional.
for Game of the Year to be in week 1?
Hey, I wouldn't be
It might
surprised.
be.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is, man, because that was a thriller for sure. It was almost better than any movie that I would have watched in that same time span. But it was a classic, Ravens versus Bills. Both teams were cooking in different parts of the game, and I'll turn it over to you guys talk about what you guys thought. People did well, people didn't do well, and then I look at my points after.
Sure, I can go first. We'll start with the Bills. What an epic comeback by Josh Allen. He was really balling out. He showed everybody why he is the reigning MVP, especially haters like me and Anurag. He had over 400 yards of offense, 4 touchdowns, like 394 passing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, two passing touchdowns. Literally an incredible comeback. He led touchdown drives of 75 and 82 yards in the final 5 minutes. He put his team on his back. He was able to bring home the win. Tyler Bass drilled a field goal, and I think the Bills became the first team in NFL history to win a game in regulation after trailing by 15 plus points with under 4 minutes left. So that just speaks to how great this comeback was. Keon Coleman having his finally he has a breakout night. He has 8 catches for 112 yards. Certainly his best career game. And of course, that touchdown grab in the fourth quarter was game pivotal. And James Cook had a great game as well. Let's not forget to talk about that defense, though. Although they gave up so many points to the Ravens, I think Ed Oliver had a fumble off of Derrick Henry, which was really the game-sealing moment where they gave the Bills everything they needed to win. Overall, we see like this defense. It's not looking great, but the offense can put the team on their back to bring home the victory. So let's see if Buffalo can continue this throughout the season. I think they're definitely one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. And on the other hand, we have the Ravens. I think as a Bears fan, I know about choking away games all too well, but the Ravens do too. And this was just a heartbreaking game for them. I think this is the 5th time in 5 seasons that the Ravens lost a game after leading by double digits in the fourth quarter. So this choking is becoming a pattern, and it's kind of stunning to see how the Ravens gave up such a big, massive lead in the fourth quarter. And, their offense, despite Lamar putting up an almost perfect passer rating, they weren't able to get it done. Henry had a game to remember. I guess we have to see how this defense does and how they bounce back, because giving up that many points is not a good look this early in the season. Anybody else?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a dog in this fight. Of course, I'm not a Ravens fan myself, but I'm a pretty big Lamar Jackson fan. So it was rough seeing my guy not be given an opportunity to win late in the game. I thought John Harbaugh was terrible with his decision making towards the end of the game. If you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, why are you not going for it on 4th and 3? You trust your defense to stop Josh Allen more than you trust Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to get 3 yards, and they've been gashing the Bills defense the whole game. So that was really frustrating. I think what's something interesting is that had the Bills successfully gotten that 2-point conversion at the end of the game, I think this game would be completely different, because I think now the Ravens go on and play their normal offense, not any of this chew clock, like old school coaching mentality. I think Harbaugh he's had a record of choking these leads, and I think he doesn't go for the win. I think he's too conservative in his play calling. As an old school mentality, I don't think he's caught up with the new school of game management and keeping the opponent's best guys off the field and keeping your best guys on the field. I put this loss firmly on him, honestly. I thought in the beginning of the game, the Ravens defense played well as you can against a guy like Josh Allen, to be fair. I feel like in the beginning of the game, they were playing really well. Obviously, they got really tired towards the end, as any defense would, especially when you're against such a dynamic QB like Josh Allen. And Lamar played perfect. Derrick Henry played really well outside of that big fumble, which I do feel bad for. These type of things do happen. Derrick Henry had a great game, so I wouldn't put this loss on him. Yeah, for me, this loss is on John Harbaugh.
I thoroughly agree with all of that. To be honest, I was in shock as a Josh Allen fan, kind of seeing how the game turned out to be the first 3 quarters. I was honestly ready to call it a night. And I didn't even have faith in my dream quarterback until the waning moments of the game. But I was really impressed by both teams, to be honest. Lamar and Henry in the earlier parts of the game, just how they were slicing and dicing as the 1-2 options in the backfield. And Henry with some of those broken tackles was just insane, man. And his speed is just as quick as he's ever been before as a 31-year-old or 32-year-old now, which is kind of crazy to think about. And Lamar only been given 19 pass attempts, and kind of having that high of a passer rating and just taking advantage of all the open holes in the Bills defense, which is really nice to see. And then I feel like the Ravens defense didn't really perform as well, especially their secondary. I will say that their secondary has a lot of star-studded names that were drafted like in the first rounds of the NFL drafts, namely like Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey. Some of these guys are vets, some of these guys are a little younger, but compared to the cast that the Bills maybe provide, barring the fact of a Keon Coleman legacy game or like a Khalil Shakir resurgence, it wasn't all that studded of an offense receiver-wise that could really compete with that kind of secondary. But the way that Josh Allen was able to kind of find a way through the game, even though they were down 15 points with 4 minutes left, was just really amazing. And it just kind of shows the level that these two quarterbacks are and how they are like a league above most of the other QBs in the league. Like obviously there's like a clear top 4. But just the way how these two play just kind of cements these two as top 5 teams regardless of how the rest of their team looks like. So yeah, with that, we have an interesting discussion specifically with the Ravens-Bills game that kind of cropped up the discussion of this game. And it's kind of time for our debate of the week. Each week we'll kind of have a debate as to what we think about a certain part of the game. And in this case, we're going to argue about the 5th best QB, or debate about the 5th best QB. So in this scenario, we have the 4 best QBs. You can give it in any order. We don't really have an agreed order upon ourselves, but let's just say that the top 4 are like Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, and Allen, all studded quarterbacks, all can win you a game just by themselves. But we're all going to kind of pitch our case for the 5th best quarterback in the league, which is still in contention. Might be finalized by the end of this year, but we'll just have to see. Only time will tell. But with that, I'll turn it over to Anurag to propose his agenda.
All right, looks like I'm going first. Obviously, as you guys mentioned, they're top 4, clearly in tier 1. They're honestly all really great. So I guess the debated is that 5th spot, clear number, top 5. For me, I think it's Jaden Daniels. I know he's only been through 1 year in the NFL, but I was really impressed with that 1 year. His rookie season, he looked so poised. I think I'm looking at it from like a talent perspective. He can do anything on the field. He can throw any pass. He has the great rushing ability, super poised and calm under pocket. He sees pressure really well. He doesn't get sacked that often. If you want me to bring up stats, he has a close to a 70% completion rate last year, which is insane. That's more than like Lamar Jackson and some of the other top guys. I think all of the four of the top guys. I think it's one of the highest in the NFL. And he threw for 25 touchdowns and 3,500 yards approximately. He did throw 9 picks. I think that's normal for any QB, really. I thought he had an outstanding season last season. I look at his skill set. He has an amazing skill set. He drives the ball well. He drives the ball well. He throws the ball well with like lots of velocity. I'm impressed with every throw he makes. He didn't play with like an amazing line last year, and I thought he really helped carry that team or make Washington like a really surprise contender. And in the playoffs too, if you want to talk about playoff performance, he had the highest QBR of any QB in the playoffs last year. So he really stepped up for his team. He stepped up in clutch moments. He's really all that, in my opinion. I like Jaden Daniels at 5.
That's a lot of good arguments that you bring down, Anurag. Kind of curious. That's a great point that you bring down, Anurag. I'm just curious though. Would it be apt to put him at the 5th best quarterback immediately upon 1 year of being in the league? Like, I get he made the NFC Conference Championship, but like some of the other options that we're going to propose here have done it year after year and have proven that they can do it. And obviously not to put any bias from the Week 2 matchup that we just saw it last night with the Packers and the Commanders, but we just saw one of the very first times that Jaden Daniels didn't look like one of those top QBs out there. So what's your kind of response to that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I'm looking at a top 5, I'm thinking of what did they do for me most recently? Like, obviously not most recently with this game on Thursday that just happened. I think every QB will obviously struggle, and I don't think one game should change a position so drastically. So I'm going to stick with Jaden Daniels at my 5. Really, the only downside I can think of with Jaden Daniels is he's only been in the league 1 year. I guess he's not vet tested or proven. But I think looking at what he's done most recently in the playoffs last year and towards the end of the regular season, he played some really good competition and he played really well. So I think I'll stick with Jaden Daniels at my 5, and I think he does stuff that a lot of other QBs can't. So,
look, I think Jaden Daniels is a great quarterback, but I am not buying in because I think he had a very lucky 2024 season. I don't have the exact numbers with me, but he was converting 4th downs at some kind of explosive rate that we can only really account to for just him getting lucky. I think he's not going to be able to repeat that at all ever in his career. And if he's converting 4th downs like that again in some season of his career, then sure, I'll give it to him. He might even be one of the top 3 quarterbacks of all time at that point. Like, who knows, right? But I don't think we're going to see that kind of season out of him ever again. And this season, we're kind of seeing him start off a little bit slow. I'm curious to see how he'll do because now the NFL has tape on him. They have tape on Kingsbury. Kingsbury is not known to have offenses that are long-term good or even offenses that'll not fall off throughout halfway through the season. That was a big surprise for me last season, and I'm curious to see if he can repeat that this year. But of course, he's got his legs. That'll always be a plus. I do think he's one of the top 8 quarterbacks in the league, but I don't think I'm willing to put him at 5 yet. I got to see something more out of him this year, some kind of step forward.
Yeah, definitely a lot to be proven, but I think that with the skill set he has, I think he can do it, and I think he can be there, and I think he's there right now. Like in a game-to-game basis, who would I rather have? I think a lot of the times I'll pick Jaden Daniels.
All right, well, I guess I'm going to go next because I heavily disagree with you. I got Justin Herbert at number 5, and I think this guy is one of the stud QBs in the NFL. The top 4 NFL QBs are in the AFC, and I think the 5th is also in the AFC. Justin Herbert and the Chargers were incredible last season. They were incredible in Week 1 of this season, taking down the Chiefs. And let me just give you some numbers on how he's been doing. So in 2024, he had the 4th highest PFF grade, only behind, I believe, Lamar, Burrow, and Josh Allen. He had a PFF grade of 91.2, with his best weapons being Ladd McConkey and a completely depleted wide receiver room. So despite that, he was able to throw for over 4,000 yards, a kind of elusive number for me. So to me, that's a huge number. No, the Bears don't have any. But the 4,000 plus yards, 24 touchdowns, and extremely few interceptions. I think he had a league low in interceptions with only 3. and a passer rating of 101.4, which was among the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I think it was number 10 or so. Look, this guy is incredible. He has the 8th highest passing yards per game in his career. He had an incredible rookie season, just like Jaden Daniels. And I think we're going to see this offense take another step forward this year under Jim Harbaugh. We're going to see him paired with an explosive rushing offense. And I think his rate of big-time throws is incredible. I think he was... let me get that link. Hold on. He had 26 big-time throws to close out last regular season, and that was leading the NFL after Week 7. He started out a little bit slow, but he's been heating up, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna see him continue that and bring that to another campaign to the playoffs, and hopefully further this year, because I think he has all the talent needed, and the arm velocity, the angles, the rushing game if needed, like how he closed out that game against the Chiefs. I think he's got it all, man.
Yeah, I think outside of these top 4 guys, everyone has like a big weakness. And I think for Herbert he hasn't proven it at all in the playoffs. You mentioned he only had 3 picks last year. In that one game against the Texans alone, he had 4 picks. So he increased by 1. So, and previously in the year before, he lost to a Jags team when he was up like 27. What was the exact score? I can't remember exactly, but I know it was at least 3 scores.
27-0, I think.
27-0, and he choked that away. I mean, obviously it's not all his fault, but as a star QB, I think you should be able to protect a 27-0 lead. I think that's the big question with Herbert. I'm not denying his talent for sure. I'm not denying, but I'm questioning whether or not he can make it in the playoffs. And if the pressure is too much for him, we'll see. But right now, I can't put him at top 5 for me because he hasn't shown it in the playoffs when it matters the most.
Look, he's on the Chargers, so that's a little bit of a cursed franchise. I think he can turn that curse around. We've seen him go to the playoffs twice, I think, and, so far, the runs haven't been great. But we'll see this season. I can't really speak to that, honestly. Like, some quarterbacks just have a pretty bad start in the playoffs to start their careers, but who knows, maybe he can get a ring in the future. I think he's definitely one of the QBs that can lead their team to the Super Bowl. But you have a good point there. I'm just pushing back on the notion that you have to prove it in the playoffs in order to be a top 5 QB. I think Jaden Daniels had a good run, but a little bit of a fluky run. We'll see if Justin Herbert can back it up in the playoffs this year.
Alrighty then. I think I'll now propose my quarterback of choice. This was a tough one. I was debating between 4 of the quarterbacks, 2 of which Anurag and Arjun mentioned in Jaden Daniels and Justin Herbert. The other 2 that I was thinking of was Jalen Hurts, who won the Super Bowl this past year and led his team in what was one of the more dominant playoff pushes that we've seen in modern history. But the player that I've gone for today, unfortunately, as I have to say it, is Matthew Stafford. The reason why it's unfortunate is because I'm a Seahawks fan and I see this guy whoop my team week after week whenever we play them. But you just got to give credit where credit's due. So let's start off with a stat that just shows his consistency. So ever since he was drafted, there were some years that he got injured here and there, right? Because number 1 overall draft pick, 2009. But since he was healthy, let me tell you the passing yards that he's gotten per season. So starting in 2011, 5,000, 5,000, 4,700, 4,300, 4,200, 4,300, 4,500, 3,800, 4,000, 4,900, 4,000, and 3,800. So in every year that I mentioned there, which is like nearly 14 or 15 years, he has hidden that 3,800 range, gotten represented touchdowns for that, and it's just led his team to a dominant record, regardless of whichever team he's on. He's been on Detroit, he's been on Los Angeles. Both have had very successful receivers that he's supported, namely being Calvin Johnson, Triple Crown winner Cooper Kupp, and one of the greatest sensations of today's NFL, Puka Nacua. I don't think any of those 3, maybe barring Calvin Johnson, could have had as great of seasons and let alone careers that they've had it not been for Matthew Stafford leading them. And Matthew Stafford is just a definition of a gunslinger, right? You have a QB for your team and you're down like by 10 points in the 4th quarter. You need someone to do it for you to get you the win. He's going to take risks. He's going to make the difficult passes. He's going to throw interceptions time and time, but more often than not, he's going to win you the game when you're down and you need it the most. So my argument for this is solely based off of a playoff perspective, right? So you have all these QBs that are like in the top 10 or so that can probably make the playoffs with their current team right now. And it's just a matter of fact of who has the experience to get you to the chip once you've made it to the playoffs, and who can win you games when you're down. And realistically, for me, Matthew Stafford is nearly second to Mahomes in that regard, given the fact that he's almost as proven compared to anyone else in the league. And since Stafford has joined the Rams, they've been 5-1 in the playoffs. Only loss was to the Eagles, the last divisional game, which, if you all saw, was a very, very close game. And he just played his heart out. So with that, play action demon, gunslinger, what else could you not want from Matthew Stafford?
Look, I'm trying to see some more scramble value. I'm trying to see some more designed runs. I don't think Stafford can get you any of that at this stage in his career. Whereas Justin Herbert and Jaden Daniels, I think especially Jaden Daniels, they're premier. He's a premier rushing threat. Justin Herbert can run the ball too if he really wants to. So I just think at this stage in his career, Stafford's a bit limited in what he can do.
Actually, before week 1 this year, when was the last time Matthew Stafford played football?
He played... Didn't he play in the divisional game, right? Or you mean practice-wise?
No, I'm saying he's been injured all of last year. He's 37 years old. He's a 37-year-old quarterback coming off a major injury. Is he really top 5 right now? Does he still have that insane arm strength?
They were one game away from making the Super Bowl. Trust me, if the Rams beat the Eagles in the divisional matchup, they were beating the Commanders in the conference championship, because the Rams looked like the second best team in the NFC. It was just unfortunate they had that second round matchup. And I think that's a testament to Matthew Stafford's grit personally. The Rams started, I think, 3-6 or something in the first 9 weeks of the league, and they finished up hot. That's what Matthew Stafford does for you. You might start behind in the season. You might be 1-4 in the season like the previous year, and you'll still make the playoffs, because this guy, when he has his receiving options with him, can lead a team to greatness. And we saw that in 2021. Cooper Kupp had one of the greatest seasons of all time by a receiver, and that's I would say I would give plenty of credit there to Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is also one of the only QBs in the league in the current league that has beat Tom Brady in the playoffs. I know I can't really say that for Jaden Daniels because Tom Brady retired before Jaden Daniels has gone in the league. And same for Justin Herbert, just because they've been in opposite conferences since Justin Herbert got in the league. But not many other QBs can say that in the playoffs. So I think that gives a slight edge to Matthew Stafford to show that he's beaten what's arguably the greatest of all time.
I don't think that matters. Is Joe Flacco in this conversation, Akshay? How about Nick Foles? Is he in that conversation? I don't think something as cherry picked as that really matters when it comes to a conversation.
When it comes to getting you a game, that's competitive and you need someone to win with limited time left on the clock, I don't know about the other two, but I'd rely on Matthew Stafford to win me that game, barring Mahomes, obviously, But that's kind of my argument there. But with that, we'll probably send out a poll to all of you guys listening, and we'll have you guys vote on who you think should deserve that quarterback 5 spot. And feel free, if you don't like any of the 3 that we propose, feel free to propose your own in the comments. And so after that, we'll now be getting into our weekly picks segment. So this is consisting of a boom player we want to highlight from the last week, a bust player that we're selling, a sleeper for the upcoming week, and then one upset for the next week, for week 2, that we think is going down. So with that, I'll turn it over to Arjun to talk about his boom of the week.
All right. So not just my boom of the week, but for the rest of the season, I'm all in on my boy Justin Fields. I think he's turned a corner. This past Sunday, he had one of the best games of his career. He had a 90.4 PFF passing grade, which is incredible for Justin Fields, who many accuse of being a running back. It was good for the best of all Week 1 quarterbacks. He certainly passed the eye test. He was passing the ball efficiently, scrambling in the pocket, getting rid of the ball, throwing the ball with pressure in his face. He had a double-digit adjusted yards per attempt rate of 10.8. It was the 4th highest of his career so far, and he averaged a whopping 0.42 EPA per dropback, which is the 6th highest in Week 1. So, he had 0 turnovers, 1 sack. I think he's got that Week 1 stamp on his belt now. He has a great start to go ahead and start the season. He's always going to have his Konami code rushing floor and the upside that comes with that of the rushing touchdowns. Like in week 1, he turned 12 carries into a calm 48 yards, 2 touchdowns. If he can keep finding the end zone like this, we could be seeing a lot more 20-plus fantasy point weeks. And he's going to continue his fantasy football stardom. Zooming out a little bit, the Jets have a new offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand, from the Lions. He's got a new system with him, and we're seeing the Jets massively increase their pre-snap motion. Engstrand calling a lot of read options, play action, which are Fields' strengths. He's in for a big-time season this year. He was drafted outside of the top 10 quarterbacks and early returns. I think he's going to be probably in that top 5 even, but reasonably I'll say top 7. Of course, throughout his career, he's been a fantasy stud, top 7 in fantasy points per dropback over his career. He's sitting at number 1 for this season. What's there not to like, man? I'm betting on the Jets. I'm betting on Justin Fields to put up some good fantasy points this season to come.
Man, it's unfortunate, man. He couldn't do it when it mattered the most. When they needed that game-winning drive. But all jokes aside, Justin Fields had an amazing week. Fantasy-wise, he was putting up numbers. Stats-wise, he was putting up numbers. He made the Jets' offense actually look legit. And who knows? They could be an upset against the Bills and the Week 2 matchup. So with that, Anurag?
Yeah, a quick note on Justin Fields. I'm of the opinion that most quarterbacks that get drafted into the NFL, like if you fit a certain talent threshold, given enough time, that most of these quarterbacks can succeed. And I feel no differently about Justin Fields. I thought coming into the NFL, he was a bit raw, and he needed some time, and I felt like he wasn't given that opportunity in Chicago, time-wise. But let's see if he can show it with the Jets. Obviously, with the Steelers, he got benched early on. They didn't show full faith with him, but I'm glad that a franchise, has put their full trust in Justin Fields, and it's up to him to see whether he can develop or not, and I think he can.
Yo, it's not the first franchise. You're talking like no other franchise has put their trust in Fields to be their cornerstone franchise quarterback. But hey, if he's turning the corner now, and I'm happy about it. So, Akshay, you want to go next? Or Anurag, you go next.
Sure. My pick, similar to Arjun's pick, but on the other side of the football, I picked Aaron Rodgers. I know I'm not supposed to like this guy as NFC North rival Minnesota Vikings. He tortured my team for a while, but I can't help it, man. On the field, his throws are just so good. He's off-platform, super exciting to watch. Maybe I don't like him as much as a person, but as a football player, I love this guy. I can't help it. He puts on a show. Everyone was calling him washed at the end of the last season. I didn't think he was that terrible. I thought he was slightly underrated with the Jets. I thought his situation around him wasn't that good, and he showed flashes, and he was recovering from a serious injury at such an advanced age. And obviously, it's going to be a slow recovery journey and slow comeback journey. But I don't think this guy is washed at all. He threw for 4 touchdowns, 22 for 30, 244 yards, and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. However, he was close on a few plays to throwing a pick, but he threw 4 touchdowns, and he was slinging that thing. And that, too, it's not like he was helped by like an A-plus cast. I think he carried the Steelers in that game, honestly. The O-line wasn't that good. He was getting pressured a lot. As for receivers, DK, he was good, but he wasn't like as dynamic as he usually is. But Calvin Austin was fantastic, dude. I was surprised. That's a pick. That's a sleeper pick for me. I'm not gonna lie. Calvin Austin was fantastic. He made some great grabs. Aaron Rodgers threw some dimes. Super impressed with Aaron Rodgers. He's back. He is not washed. That's my guy.
Hey, love to see it, man. I was actually surprised when you said that stat line of 22 for 30, 4 touchdowns, 244 yards. So I was like, who caught the ball for them to do that well? And then I realized Calvin Austin had himself a day. But I'm very shocked by how the Steelers offense performed, because I thought they would be so rush heavy, just because they have two really good tight end sets, 2 pretty good running backs. They drafted a running back as well in the NFL draft this past year. And they seem to be a very rush-heavy team under Mike Tomlin, who's known to kind of prioritize just handing the ball and letting the running back cook, a.k.a. Le'Veon Bell. But
don't sleep on my boy Arthur Smith.
Oh, and Arthur Smith as well. Yes. And but yeah, I was very shocked with the passing game. I didn't think Aaron Rodgers would have as many passing attempts. But fun fact from last year, I think Aaron Rodgers was the second highest passing attempts out of anyone in the league. So who knows? Maybe it is a turn of a corner for him in his already studied career. All right, so with that, I'll go to my boom of the week. This was a little tough decision for me. I'll give an honorable mention to Keon Coleman, one of my heroes from the Sunday night game. He balled out, man, but honestly, I'm not sure if he will perform the same way the rest of the season just because the Bills had to come from a comeback game. Josh Allen's passing volume was just ridiculously high than what I've ever seen from a Bills game. But my sleeper, or I guess my boom for the week that I think will just keep impressing was Tyler Warren. What a rookie, man. He was drafted 14th overall this past draft to the Indianapolis Colts. And he was just a demon, man. Like, you have Daniel Jones under center, making him look like an all-star quarterback all of a sudden. Resurgence of Daniel Jones, but I feel like Tyler Warren did so much of that. He led all tight ends as a rookie in snaps for the Indianapolis Colts. And he led all Indianapolis receivers in targets and receptions, finishing with 76 yards, as well as one designated rush carry, which is really cool. And just talking about the coaching system in Indianapolis, Shane Steichen is known to run like RPO heavy offenses as well as like play action centric offenses. And this really works for Tyler Warren, just someone who's like an alpha receiver, can get easy yards in space, and then also get targeted in RPO and designated run opportunities. One interesting fact is that Tyler Warren was posted as the number 2 tight end in terms of utilization score, so how much you were utilized in the game, behind one Juwan Johnson. Kind of funny as a stat. But yeah, I think he can really do it as a top 6 tight end, let alone a top 3 tight end in fantasy perspective this year. So I'm really excited to see what Tyler Warren does. He lined up as a tight end, an inline receiver, a fullback. He was just so versatile and so unpredictable. Can't wait to see what he does moving forward.
Do you guys think that Tyler Warren has a chance for Offensive Rookie of the Year this year?
Hey, I think if anything, he will be in 100% contention. I think last year there was just an insane quarterback cast that we don't really see out of this year. This year's probably just Cam Ward and then a whole bunch of random individuals here and there in the draft class. So I really hope this year that it goes to a skill position or potentially an offensive lineman. We'll see. But yeah, I think Tyler Warren, if he plays his cards right, if the Colts use him well, could have just as insane of a rookie season as Brock Bowers. So I do think it's in the cards.
Look, I think Warren is on that Brock Bowers trajectory. He's already on the field a lot. He's making plays not only after the catch, but even in the rushing game, which is exactly what we wanted to see from his pre-draft profile. I think he's been a smash pick so far. He'll continue to be one. And, Daniel Jones has a safety blanket that he can turn to whenever he needs yards. And Tyler Warren is going to fight for every last one of them. I think we're going to see another smash rookie tight end season this year.
Yeah, I think the Colts in general also, they're low-key kind of underrated. Like, I did not expect them to be as good as they were. Definitely did not expect that from Daniel Jones. I think touchdown on every drive was pretty awesome to watch. I think they might have a shot at the AFC South this year. The Jags don't look terrible, and Texans look a little bit shaky. So yeah.
Look, I'm not overreacting. I think it was just the Dolphins. I'm not necessarily buying into that take, but I'm definitely all ears to see what Daniel Jones does next.
Hey man, speaking of the Dolphins and how poorly they played, I think it's time we move on to our busts of the season. Someone that we think is not really someone that we would look into buying at all. We just want to sell all shares of them for the rest of the season. And speaking of the Dolphins, what a miserable performance from the Dolphins offense, man. And I think the commander of that, Tua Tagovailoa, there's a lot to put on him for that loss. I mean, just stats-wise, 1 fumble, 2 interceptions. But I just want to highlight the second interception of the game. And by that time, he'd only thrown 11 passes in the game. Seven of them were towards the right-hand side of the field and fewer than 10 yards downfield. So it was just too obvious, too predictable as to where he was going to go. He follows the same path, throws it in an area where second-year player, I think it's Latu, came up with a big pick and basically just sealed the game at that point. Yeah, defensive lineman just jumped up there, got the pick, and that basically sealed the game. The Colts were already up like 25-0 or something like that at that point. It was like game over. And to be honest, Tua's touchdown that made his stat line look even respectable, to be honest, was just because of Adon Achane, who had multiple tackles in that one play to kind of salvage the game for Tua. And to be honest, since 2022, 2023-ish, the Dolphins offense hasn't looked particularly impressive, even with two really dominant threats in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They just haven't been able to get past their defenses that have pretty much planned against them. They've been playing a lot of zone, cover 2 zone against this Dolphins offense. And Tua can't really seem to turn a corner when it comes to producing with one of the greatest receivers that we've seen in modern history in Tyreek Hill, and one of the fastest receivers I've ever seen as well in Jalen Waddle. So honestly, as a Dolphins fan, I'm panicking when it comes to the chemistry between the head coach, Mike McDaniels, and the offense entirely, as well as the quarterback question making. Again, it just seemed too predictable, and I wouldn't be surprised, as my hot take, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins end last in the AFC East. That's my hot take just from this week 1 game.
Yeah, I think...
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was like some trade rumors here and there that Tyreek might go to the one and only Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. I think 2 or 3 days ago. So
Just
who knows?
within-
If that happens, man, I'm all out on the Dolphins offense. But there's always life if Tyreek's on the team. It's just a matter of building chemistry again. But I don't really see it happening, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if the Steelers need that. I think maybe the Chiefs are the best spot if Tyreek leaves. But yeah, the Dolphins definitely don't seem to have a good offense this year. Mike McDaniels might be on the way out, and we'll see what happens with this offense.
Agreed, man. Agreed.
All right.
Over to you, Arjun.
All right, so my rest of season sell for the rest of season sell is, I'm sorry, Akshay, but it is Cooper Kupp of the Seattle Seahawks.
Heartbreaking.
Look, man, another year, another team, and he is still destroying the Seahawks because he had a very bad game. He had a very bad game this past Sunday. And remember, the Seahawks are still paying him $17.5 million this season. He had a team low 48.2 PFF grade on offense for only 2 receptions, 15 yards, and an ugly drop on 3rd down that cost the Seahawks the drive. He was extremely distant he was an extremely distant second in production on the Seahawks, but he was second in targets. But that's not saying much since JSN seems to be completely dominating the Seahawks air offense. So there's very little volume for other pass catchers in here. It's of course a lower volume passing volume. It's, of course, a lower passing volume offense. They had the 2nd worst passer rate over expected in the NFL. They were only ahead of the Jets, which are, of course, another run-heavy team, in Week 1. I'm still projecting this team to be having a very below-average offense this season. I don't think Kupp can elevate this team anymore. He's firmly like a drop or like an extremely pinch situation flex for me, maybe in the top 60 players in a given week. I'm completely out on him. What do you think, Akshay, as the Seahawks fan?
Hey man, it pains for me to say that, but I do have to agree with you. As a Seahawks fan, even though I've loved Cooper Kupp the last couple of years as a Ram, I even drafted Cooper Kupp extensively as a Ram. But this year I have no shares of Cooper Kupp. I kind of figured that he's approaching father time, as what they call it, and he just doesn't seem to have that same kind of route running ability and that those like tendencies that he had to kind of getting past the defender very easily, and the hands that he has, to be honest, as well. So just with a lack of chemistry between him and a new quarterback in Sam Darnold, as well as the whole situation as it came all together, just didn't put Cooper Kupp in a great situation altogether. On the Seahawks, honestly, the only player that I think I can comfortably start on the Seahawks for the time being is Jackson Smith and Jigba for the next couple of weeks. Who knows who's going to come out of that running back group in Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. It looked like Charbonnet after week 1, but we'll just have to examine for a few more weeks and kind of determine that. But JSN looked like a dog. Rest of the team didn't look like they knew what they were doing, to be honest. But yeah, it was just an unfortunate sight to see.
Harsh.
Yeah, man. I had some hopes for Cooper Kupp when he came to the Seahawks. I was pretty excited for that. He just didn't really seem great in training camp either, which was kind of upsetting. But to be honest, in my opinion, I watched the entire Seahawks game, so I can say this with chest. I don't think he was the worst player out there for the Seahawks on Sunday. I can affirm you that person is named Reek Woolen. I do not want to see him on the field for at least a few weeks as he determines what he wants to do on the Seahawks defense, because it didn't seem like he was doing anything. He was just watching the ball go past him, sail past him, And even when he had chances of interception, he's just staring at it and letting some third string tight end come and just moss him and get the game winning touchdown for the 49ers. But I mean, yeah, point being, didn't really look that great either side of the ball, but who knows? He could turn it around. We've seen it done before from other oldies out there in the league. But yeah, going from there, we'll each talk about one sleeper. We'll just keep it brief, just because it's going a little longer than we had anticipated. But I'll start with my sleeper. Just to be brief, this guy has been a vet of the league. Started out on the Vikings, I believe, and transitioned to the Bills, then the Texans for a 1-year stint where he was hurt for the most of the season, and now he's back in New England with the name Stephon Diggs. I've been pretty high on him for most years, just because of his route running ability and his ability to make contested plays when you need it the most. And I think he's just a sleeper pick for this week, just because not really a consensus top player going into this year, just with injury history. But he is going up against a very, very vulnerable Dolphins offense. So I can't wait to see him cook against the Dolphins offense.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good sleeper pick. We'll see if he can come back from, whatever he was doing over the summer. My pick, I mentioned him before, Calvin Austin, my guy in Pittsburgh. He's going up against the Seahawks. Actually, I was just mentioning how bad Tariq Woolen has been, so hopefully Calvin Austin can have a day next week.
Yeah, if he's getting guarded by Reek, it might just be a day, bro. I hope not, but it might be.
Yeah, I think he made some incredible catches against the Jets, and it looks like he's building good chemistry with Rodgers. So my pick is Calvin Austin. Keeping it brief, I like that guy. I hope he plays well.
All right, and my pick for my sleeper of the week 2 is going to be Jameson Williams against Chicago. Now, everybody's panicking about the Lions offense after a lackluster week 1, but I think they're due for a bounce back. The Packers look to be like a league best defense, as much as it pains me to say. But I'm not scared of the Lions offense yet. I think they're gonna have another good season. They have a lot of talent on that team. They had a good play action and motion rate. I think Goff is not washed at all. They're still projected for the second most points this week by Vegas, right behind the Ravens and along with the Bengals. And on the other side of the ball, the Bears' pass rush was all right against the Vikings, but I don't think it was anything too special. We weren't expecting huge things from them, from the people on that roster. So if the Lions' O-line can bounce back a little bit this week, I think Jameson Williams is in a good spot to have a nice bounce back. I'm pressing in JMO taking another leap this year. This week's a good starting point for him to do it.
It's about Jameson. It's surprising that you picked him on the 1 week that he's playing your team. But for your sake, I hope he doesn't cook. But even if he does, you still have something to take away from it. But yeah, I think Jameson's due for a year 3 breakout. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, I mean, he's put up big numbers against the Bears last year in our second matchup, so wouldn't be surprised to see him do it again. Also, we have a little twist with this segment. Each of these sleeper picks will be used to build out a fantasy lineup for us, a kind of best ball fantasy lineup where each of the picks we make over the season will slot into one of these starting lineup spots or a bench spot. At the end, we'll total the points for this lineup and see who drafted the best sleeper squad. So in the survey that we send out after this week, you can also participate in this. You can put in your sleeper matchup of the week, and we'll maintain a tracking of who has drafted what player and see exactly how many points you can score over the season too. So play with us and send it in.
Sounds good.
Finally, we've got... You want to go, actually?
Yeah, sure. Finally, we have our upset picks of the week. This is for week 2, and this is recorded on Friday, so none of us know what the Sunday slate is going to look like. But essentially, our twist for this is that every upset earns points. By the end of the season, we're going to be seeing who got the most upset pick wins, and we're crowning them as the upset king. Again, you will also be able to participate in this by putting in your upset pick of the week. And we'll be checking if you submitted it in time. So please don't watch the game and after the fact give it the upset team. But also another rule for this is that the upset team must be the person that's not favored to win by Vegas odds. So for me, this is I think a Monday night game Buccaneers versus Texans. I believe the Texans are favored. They didn't really have a good showing with their offensive line. Their defense looked really nice, but their offense didn't have any sort of showing. No touchdowns from the Texans, which is pretty shocking. And they're up against the Buccaneers that are pretty fired up after a close Week 1 win. And I think the Buccaneers take it again against the Texans.
All right, I'll go next. I have the Jaguars against the Bengals. And this is a little bit of a spicy take maybe because the Jaguars had an okay game, nothing too special. Trevor Lawrence didn't look that great in Week 1. But this Bengals team is known to start off slow. They proved it on Week 1 against the Browns. They can definitely prove it again this week if they start out slow and the offense isn't coming together. We could see the Jaguars put together a nice little upset victory right here. Maybe a Travis Hunter breakout. He's going to be playing a little bit more on defense according to their coaching staff over there. We'll see what he can do against this Bengals studded receiving room. I'm excited to see what happens this game. Anurag?
Yeah, I was looking through these games. I was having some trouble picking some upsets. I think for the most part, the favorites are going to win. But I do have my guy Daniel Jones pulling off a crazy upset against the Broncos. I'm not a huge Bo Nix guy. I think I'm a big believer in the Colts team. So I think Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, our guy from Suwannee, Josh Downs, I think they can get it done against the Denver Broncos defense. And hopefully they can. That would be a good story for me because I'm picking the Colts this week.
Hey, I hope the Colts can do something, man. They looked really nice Week 1. The Broncos offense looked anything but good Week 1, to be honest. So there could be a chance, given that Colts defense also looked really nice. I'm just worried as to how Michael Pittman's going to have a chance against Surtain, and then Bonito coming from the edge to sack Daniel Jones. I think they had like 6 sacks against the Titans on Week 1, which is kind of crazy to say, but could happen for sure. Only time will tell.
Yep. I also think Titans are one of the worst teams in the league as the number 1 overall pick. I wouldn't take too much from it. Broncos defense is amazing. However, I'll give them that. It'll definitely be tough, but I think the Colts can do just enough on offense, and I think they can do a lot on defense against a weak Broncos offense.
We shall see.
Yep. Okay, I think that concludes the Triple Option Podcast. Thank you guys for listening in any way that you have. We really appreciate it. I'm Anurag. I'm signing off.
I'm signing off. Don't forget to fill out our polls for the week.
We'll see you all in the next week.
Yep. See you guys.
Peace out.